Hype, hype, hype. Dude, I'm so hyped for the new game that's coming out.
I got like 2 hours in and I want my money back.
Does this seem familiar to you? Of course it does, because it's 2025 and everything sucks. In this video, I'm going to talk about hype and expectations. For my eagle-eyed viewer out there, I'm going to pair this by talking about one of my favorite games of all time. So let me take you through a journey through my experiences with Fable. I said in a previous video that Halo is my most played game of all time. Fable is a close second, if not par. My brother used to work at Blockbuster. One day he brought home a game that would change the outcome of the rest of my life. Blinks, Time Sweeper. As soon as I saw the box art for this game, I was hooked. Look at this shit, man. For a kid who was obsessed with like swords and dragons and magic, this shit just grabbed me. So by the time it was my turn to play on the Xbox, I was straight onto this game. Now at the time you could only hire this game out for 2 nights at a time, but like I said, my brother worked at Blockbuster, so he had the hookup. Eventually though, the game did have to be returned, so I had to let go of the love of my life. I did manage to complete the game before we had to send it back though, and that was it. That one playthrough was enough to stay with me for the rest of my life. Psych! It was the day before my 11th birthday, and I knew what I was getting, so I convinced my mum to give me the gift a day early. Can you guess what that gift was? Now my mind was blown and shredded to pieces when I unwrapped this. Notice anything special, different about this? It wasn't just Fable, it was Fable The Lost Chapters. More quest, more weapons, more choices, apostrophe. I didn't even know this was a thing because this was before DLC, downloadable content. This truly was the biggest gift for my now fully developed big boy 11-year-old brain. Needless to say, I played this game religiously. I know everything there is to know about this game. I couldn't tell you what political party is in power at the moment in Australia. What I can tell you, if you take these dudes to this place and do this to them, at this exact time, you get this. The Bolvstorm, the best weapon in the game. And you could do all this before you even do your first quest. Speaking of doing things before your first quest, there's a renown system in this game, and some quests on the quest table are only available once you have enough aura points. So when you access the quest table for the first time, you see these missions here, blacked out. They disappear as soon as you leave the guild for the first time. So how do I gain enough renown points before leaving the guild for the first time? Murder. That's right, I went on a multi-day murder spree. This guard in the back of a double shift, murder. This guard who's 2 days away from retirement, murder. This guard whose wife just had their first kid, not today brother, murder. Turns out these missions aren't actually programmed into the game though, so it was all for nothing. But hey, it's a story for me to tell in a YouTube video 20 odd years later that no one's gonna watch. So I owned every building in this game, so I used to just do laps of the whole game map just to collect rent to make money. I then discovered that if you get your guile skill up high enough, it does 2 things. One thing it does is make you more sneaky. The second thing it does is give you more riz. So you can just buy items from vendors and then sell them back to them at a higher price. Infinite money unlocked. I talked about this game at school so much that I had a buddy who told me there was like an armor set you could unlock with like full skeletons and skulls and crap on it, and you had to do certain things in the game to unlock it. Every night I went home and did exactly what he told me to do with no luck. He kept this up for a solid 2 weeks before he told me he was lying. I was so fucking stupid. I did everything and had every item that was programmed into this game. Okay. I have a confession. There is one thing, and that's to get this hero doll for Not Hellglade pub game. This is a find the matching card pub game. I came so close. Had to beat 25 seconds to unlock the hero doll, and I was getting like 25.1 seconds, but I was limited by my controller at the time because that thing was fucked. But hard on, if you never got the hero doll, then how did you get the key from the teacher? And if you never got the key, then how did you unlock the chest that required 30 keys? And then if you didn't unlock the chest that required 30 keys, how did you get the Avenger sword? I cheated. You happy? I cheated. I did the old hero save and the old Rose Cottage trick, and if you know what I'm talking about, you're just as bad, brother. And in my defense, this grandma was a bitch.
Editor's note here. After recording this bit, I realised you don't actually need the hero doll to get the key from the teacher. You just need to give him the books instead. So essentially I cheated, but the outcome still would have been the same. And I still maintain that grandma was a bitch.
So if it wasn't obvious, I played this game for years to come, and I just love this game. The year is 2007. I'm still obsessed / addicted to this game. I'm in media class, and the teacher tasked us just to get comfortable with Photoshop. So I was photoshopping an album cover for the movie Hot Fuzz, great movie, and I had the idea to make some fake artwork for Fable 2. So I type in Fable 2 and see this.
Welcome, child. Your story is waiting.
I screamed at my buddy who was in the class with me to come look at this as well. You know, the buddy who also liked Fable, not my friend that lied to me. I was so hyped. And you bet from then on until the release of Fable 2, I was YouTubing every night, the old demos, the old Vidocs I used to have, anything to do with Fable 2, I was watching it over and 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 over. Keep in mind that back in these days, hype wasn't dangerous. Games were always good, and this feeling of disappointment and getting let down, it didn't exist back then. So then Fable 2 came out. And I loved it. Don't get me wrong, I was slightly put off about the camera, the HUD, how the game just looked different from Fable 1, the way your character moved, like they were weightless. That shit did suck. Someone would have had to make that decision. They would have had to program like normal walking physics first, and then someone came along and went, make him more weightless and like he's on ice skates the whole time. The scale and scope of this game was huge compared to Fable 1. No two playthroughs were the same, but that didn't stop me from getting a job, getting a blacksmith, earning money, so I could save up to buy that dope outfit, or dope weapon, or dope cabinet. This game had these little tasks, but it made you feel like you were working towards something. It reminds me of a time a couple of years ago. It was a Friday night. I was in my room playing my computer and I was playing The Sims. I had my character on his computer, upgrading his computer skills. I'm in my room in my computer watching my Sims character use his computer. I looked around the room and caught my reflection in the window. It's a Friday night, brother. What are you doing? I F4'd, went straight to bed and thought about my life decisions. And between you and me, I sometimes feel like I'm still in that bed. Dope bookcase though. Also, the DLC that came out for this game was exceptionally good, adding new areas and missions and silly little goofy items for you to earn. Now, some people did not like Fable 2, and the most common reason was the big baddie fight. You just escaped from prison, you powered up, you got legendary weapons, it's time for an epic showdown, and oh, he's dead. Yeah, he was just a dude who was allergic to bullets. Who would have thought? This was a good example of subverting your expectations done correctly. You could have had a huge scale boss fight, but you just had one to get here in the first place. This at least had some story to back it up. Now I want to talk about Fable 3. Not my favourite game in the franchise, but still pretty good. Now this came out at a point in my life where I actually wasn't playing games that much. I was actually hanging out with friends in person and being social. And that's not just because my Xbox got the red ring of death, no. That had nothing to do with it. But one day I just happened to try my Xbox 360 again, and what do you know? It started working. See you losers, I'm a gamer again. Fable 3 is coming out, and I never want to see any of yous ever again. I can't lie, I don't love Fable 3 like I do the other ones. I still played this game a lot, and I still add it to my bi-yearly playthrough of all the Fable games. But I feel like that's in an attempt to try and find something to make me fall in love with this game. Straight off the bat though, I knew I wasn't gonna love this game like I did the others. Your character speaks, you have to wear leather wristbands to use magic. They have this system where your weapon changes depending on the feats and the things that your character does as you upgrade. Unfortunately though, most of the time, you have to get through the first dungeon area and it's full of skeleton mobs. So when you level up, you almost always got a bone handle for your gun or your sword. I didn't want that. I wanted the chew toy handle because I love my dog. I still got the special edition though that came with some playing cards and a dope coin. Pretty cool. This game did do something very cool though with subverting your expectation. And that's not ending once you've overthrown the king. The story continues and you become the king. So you have to make these decisions as the king that affects townships, relationships, allies, the world in whole. This was a great way again to subvert your expectations of big baddie's dead, credits. That's about all this game did great though. This is the game that made me glad I didn't get a Hero Seal guild tattoo, like all the people who called their kids Khaleesi. Man, this has been one hell of a journey. Fable journey. This game came out for the Xbox Kinect, which was a camera motion tracking game. What? Stab left. Okay. Stab right. Okay, am I doing this right? Hey, yo! From memory, I played this game for a couple hours, but it was just too janky. Motion tracking wasn't quite right. It did have a good story though, and I do remember steering my horse, brushing the horse, and casting some spells. But that's about it. This game was more sketchy and frustrating than it was fun. So I'd much rather play a different game I had at the time. I don't know, like Forza Horizon 2. Speaking of Forza Horizon 2, Playground Studios. This is the development studio who's making the next Fable game. The Fable games for me have followed a trend where they haven't been as good as the previous ones. It has been years since Fable 3 though, and in that time the gaming industry has also changed. Now I am excited that the Fable franchise is coming back because at one point it was Microsoft's like pillar IP. But yeah, with modern games and movies and being constantly let down, I'm not as hyped for this one. I'm limiting my hype for this one. Just not excited and enthusiastic as I once was. I'd be shocked if this game didn't have loot boxes or a battle royale feature or live events. Fuck that all off and just make a good solo campaign that maybe I can play with a buddy as well. The issue with revamping an older franchise is this whole for lovers and new players. Screw that, just make a game for the people who got you to where you are today. I'm still gonna get this game, don't get me wrong, but it's not a day oneer for me. And after saying all I have said about my love for this franchise, isn't that just a crazy thing to hear? A new game in a franchise that I love is coming out and I'm not excited or hyped? We as humans want to fit into circles and fan bases, and that's totally normal. But it should also be normal to judge things on their own merit. I prefer Battlefield over COD, but Call of Duty is still fun to play. I prefer Xbox over PlayStation. PlayStation has some really cool exclusives. I prefer if the upcoming Fable didn't suck. But I always have the old ones to go back and play. Hype can be dangerous. And I would love nothing more to be proven wrong. Thanks for coming with me on my journey with Fable. Through my eyes. I can't actually see shit.